Welcome everyone to another episode of Homestead Tech Talk. My name is Chris, and if you're joining us for the first time, here's what you need to know. This podcast is your guide to becoming more self-sufficient, safe, and prepared. Whether it's through electrical know-how, mastering self-defense, or becoming a pro at permaculture, we've got you covered. Because here at Homestead Tech Talk, we're all about navigating the modern world with some old school wisdom. So buckle up and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the second part of our Reloading Basics podcast by Homestead Tech Talk. Today we're going to talk about putting everything together. Can you guys hear the TV in the background?
When you're talking? Talk.
Right now.
Not really. No, when you're not talking, I don't hear anything.
Okay.
It's completely silent.
Well, I hope so, because it's impossible to get this. It's impossible to get a noise-free environment here. So let's talk about putting this stuff together. I think in part one we dogged it off with equipment. And now we're talking about what we need to do to get it all together.
We want to talk about powder.
And powder.
We talked about the cartridge and prepping your brass and picking your powder and all that.
Yeah, but we're
based on your manuals.
Yeah, I think we were on measuring tools. We went through components.
Yeah, we talked about sizing and crimping and all that. But
talked about load data and resources, selecting the right components, and working up a load. So we need to selecting the right components, working up a load, traditional versus 10-round ladder load. We'll talk about powder, special measurements we can make to get more accuracy out of certain rifles and pistols. Sound good?
Right. Yeah.
So the first thing would be, now that the brass is all prepped and stuff, we're gonna put it in our press, whichever press it is, and we're gonna prime it, either in the press or hand priming. And then we're going to add powder to it, the right powder in the right amount. And that's where working up the load comes in. And then we're going to add a projectile that matches the powder and the primer and everything. And then we're going to either crimp it or not, and we're going to look it over, make sure the bullet is seated at the right depth. And then we are going to shoot it. See how it does. Ideally fire.
Yep.
So how do you typically work up a load? Say for your 30-06 hunting rifle or your Nagant or whatever.
Well, you consult a lot of charts, and then of course you ultimately are going to have to go with the powder available to you, because you might like a particular load, but you can't get that powder. So once you're happy with the powder that you have available and a load you like, then you start at the beginning. You always start at the low end and then start working your way up. And I typically do 0.2 of a grain increments, and I do 3 to 5 at a time, and I mark them all. I write it on the brass with a Sharpie so I know which each one is, and I'll go out, I'll shoot them. Of course, I'll inspect every single brass after I shoot it to make sure nothing looks weird. And then I'll also check for accuracy while I'm shooting it. And then I'll shoot the next charge, and then the next charge. And usually, somewhere in there, the groups will start getting tighter and tighter. And I'll find a happy place on my charge. And it's very rarely, if ever, much past the middle of the charge spectrum. Sometimes maybe a hair over, but Rarely have I ever shot a load where accuracy came from the maximum. And that's good because it saves the life on your brass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much it. That's how I load mine. And then once I find that happy place, I go back and fine tune it on either side by tenths of a grain. And then if it shrinks it down a little bit more, yay. If it don't, then I pick the one that's closest to it that uses the least amount of powder. That gives me the best accuracy. And that's what I go with.
Yep.
That's how I do it. And of course, I don't do a lot of long range like you do because I don't have the land for it. Because we're bush hunters up here. You know what my property looks like. You can't see very far. Right now, you can't see 10 feet in the woods now that all leaves are on.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's my deal. That's how I do it.
I do it with the 10-round ladder load test. I think a guy named Scott Satterley came up with it. Did you ever look at those Excel sheets I made? Where remember how we all got together and we shot 10 rounds?
Didn't you send them like on?
Yeah, I can pull them up real quick. I can screen share
Yeah.
on this. Share your screen.
Oh. Yep.
There we go.
Isn't that cool? Fancy.
Now, this is what it looked like when we all shot those. And I believe, why is it so... I'll just minimize it. We'll go to there. So I believe the light blue was yours, the green one was mine, and the orange one was Scott's.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we loaded all these at the exact same time, at the exact same everything. Can you see the data input sheet?
Can now.
Yeah. So all these, this was S&P 842, M855, SS109 projectiles, 62 grain bullet weight. These were all weighed out to within 0.1 grain. These were all weighed out to within 1 grain. Everything was the same for these across all 3 rifles. And yet we got drastically different results in each rifle. So for the 10 rounds, as you can see on your rifle, yours peaked up, got up about 27, dropped back down to 25.40, and kind of started to level off right there at about 26.60. Now that's awfully slow for being a 5.56 round. So I think the problem was you've got an accuracy mode right here. Now what we're looking for on the 10 round ladder loads is we've loaded these up at 0.2 grain increments right there. And then we've measured the velocity using a chronograph. And that's some other stuff. Don't worry about that. This is still a work in progress. And then as we shot progressively up in 0.2 grain increments, we hit a flat spot where we've got a 20 feet per second difference across 0.4 grains. 21.1 to 21.5. So where that flat spot is, that means that there's not much velocity deviation. So what we can do is shoot for the middle at 21.3. Excuse me, my voice is going out. So we can shoot for that 21.3 right there, load you up 5 of them, and shoot them, and the extreme spread would probably be less. The extreme spread would probably be less than 10 feet per second, and you'd probably have at least an MOA group, just based off that, and you can do that in 15 rounds. But you got to have a chronograph. Mine didn't like that. Mine was constantly going up and up and up. Mine wanted more pressure, and we could tell because the cartridge cases were dirty, it wasn't sealing very well. Scott's looks like it wanted more pressure. Yours is the only one that hit that accuracy node. But if you notice, all ours pretty much after this amount started shooting up at about the same amount. So I would bet once we got up to about 23 or 24 grains on that, we'd hit another accuracy node. and we'd be up around
Believe you're
2,900 feet per second. So that'll be the next step. And then we can look over here on this other chart. Can you see this other chart? That's not the right one. Exit.
No, I only see the.
I want Chris's 75 grain. That's what I'm looking for. Pop it up. There we go. This is one I did with some Hornady 75 grain projectiles. Why is that? It didn't save. That's why. Son of a bitch. Clear contents. I didn't save it right. That was my bad. Now we can go to the chart. We're just looking at the dark green one. Ignore these. It's actually, I'd have to change it to the 23.4 to 24.3, which I can probably do right now. Just no, I gotta change it in the actual chart. That's okay. But you can see on these 75 grainers that mine went up drastically, and then from, it was 0.1 grain increments on this of 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. I saw less than 25 feet per second deviation over 0.4 grains again, just like yours, which means I'd shoot for right here for whatever this one ended up being, which I think was like 23.7 or something, and then I could do the same thing and get really accurate results. But you're looking for them flat spots in velocity where where your velocity doesn't move very much over an increase in powder charge.
Gotcha.
And that's how that works. And I'll share this
Yep.
Excel sheet once it's completely compiled and fixed. I'll share it with everybody. Let's get back
All
on
right.
the Discord. And that's how that works. The stream is paused. Why is the stream paused? And I don't know how to get rid of that. Options, stop streaming. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. I'm illiterate when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, that's okay.
And that was ram shot tack that I shot through mine. And we shot a
Oh.
Milcert powder that's using the M855A1 round when all three of us did it. So they didn't get a load together either by shooting 5 at a time and waiting for the groups to shrink, or you can try to do it over the chronograph and then shoot them. And then if you're not getting the groups you want still, but you got the right velocities, like the velocities are close, you can actually adjust your cartridge overall length, which is how deep you seat the bullet in to the case. And usually a general rule of thumb is the closer to the rifling lands you are, the more accurate you'll get. But
Correct.
that's not always the case. It just depends, because you can change barrel harmonics by moving the bullet in and out a little bit. Not as much as your powder charge, but still, it's there. So that's why a lot of that happens.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
So- About what?
Do you want to talk about all the different powders?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about powder real quick in the next few minutes
Yeah.
before I gotta go. So, like I said in the other podcast, a lot of people freak out about Milcert powders, and I don't know why. Because these people aren't going to give you a burn rate that's not backed by like a whole lot of math and a whole lot of confidence. So, because they would just ask themselves for a lawsuit. So when they say it burns like this or it burns like that, it means that the burn rate is so close that you can use those data, and just to cover their butts, they always say start at, it's usually 15% off of, and then start going up. And while it sucks to start that low, you're getting like a ton of it for cheap. So you've got plenty to play with. And then what's nice about it is you've got so much, the lot, even if it changed from lot to lot, if you got like 8 pounds of powder, you know, well, my gosh, that's a whole lot of bullets, you know, depending on what you're loading. So, I have no problem with buying them from like Jeff Bartlett. I wish we could get more from him, but the powder dried up a little bit. That unique equivalent, you can't get anymore. I haven't seen that in forever. I did get a Herco equivalent that I've not even tapped yet. Of course, we got our 842, which come directly from the 5.56 round. So like, it's really hard to screw that up. And then you can get your slow powders for like Magnum rifle cartridges. I like that. Oh, it's not 7383, but it's WC860. So
860, 872, 870.
yeah,
I'm looking at Bartlett's site right now.
yeah.
He doesn't
so
have
the
a single
W's,
powder. The only thing he's got listed is WC872, and it's sold out. And he was selling it for
Yeah.
£100. It was $100 for an 8-pound jug, and it used to be $48 for an 8-pound jug.
Yeah. And the so to give you an example of just how amazing it is to use one of these powders, my dad shot a 7mm Remington Magnum. Amazing rifle, but it's like a small artillery piece. The freaking blast off this gun is crazy. But well, like premium ammo for that thing cost $60 for a box, 20. I was like, dude, that's stupid. So I ordered some 7mm premium rounds from Midway for less than 50 cents a piece. This was years ago. I still have some. And my very first ladder charge that I shot out of that rifle at 125 yards, you could cover with a diamond. Very first one. The 3 holes almost touched. First try. And it was amazing. And that was at the bottom end of the charge. It was unbelievable. So, there are huge gains to be made from using Milsurp powder. If you can find it.
Well,
Yeah.
during the Obama
there's
years,
that.
remember all that crazy stuff we did with 7383?
Oh yeah, I wasn't even gonna get into that. We might have to do a different podcast for that with 500 warnings at the beginning, end, and scrolling across the screen at the bottom before you do that. Just and every now and then it just flashes and says, "Do not try this at home."
Well, I did a YouTube video of it. I think it's still floating around on YouTube. I
It
think
might
was
be.
Our old
Oh, I
channel
don't-
and factories don't make it anymore or something.
Dude, it was that was some pretty cool stuff. But some things to think about for our viewers. Does it have flash suppressants in it? Does it not have flash suppressants in it? What is your application? Depending on what you're shooting, you might not want to have a high flash. As a general rule, I don't want a high flash on them anyway. Then your Reloader 15 has the temperature. The fancy words, Chris. It's where they treat it, and it basically will shoot the same pressure from 0 degrees to 120 degrees without any change. They use it in the long range. I can't remember what they put on it, but anyway, there's that. So that's like Reloader 15, and I'm sure a few other brands do that now. I lost my train of thought, Chris. What's some other stuff that
It's temperature sensitivity. Temperature sensitivity is the word we're looking for. So at different temperatures, it changes the burn rate of the powders.
Yeah,
and then if it's temperature insensitive, you don't get that sensitivity on it.
Single base, double base propellants, triple base propellants, and then sometimes you get that smell off of 7383. What was that from?
Like ammonia. It smelled like ammonia.
Yeah, that ammonia. It smelled like ammonia smell.
Nitroguanidine, I think, was what it was.
Yeah.
What they were using for the flash suppressant. And if it didn't burn clean, it released ammonia as a byproduct.
So you get that, and then
I'm on a live stream.
copper fouling. Some will have that. So you might your bore might get funny colors and stuff depending on what you're shooting.
Yeah, it'll turn blue. It'll make an oxide of the copper or a chloride or something.
Right.
Your CFE powders do that, and that FSMP 842 Milsurp powder does. It's just CFE 223 with a H335 burn rate.
And it's designed to do that, so it's all good. No, most of your pistol powders can be used in shotguns, so it's a nice crossover. You can reload some absolutely amazing 12 gauge loads with Unique.
Yes, you can.
I have. You can reload a turkey load with a 2 3/4 inch shell that has almost no recoil if you know what you're doing. You just got to match your shotgun load to your barrel, and it would be absolutely amazing. You'll be like, wow, I wish I did this a long time ago. Because it is insane to go out there and buy a 3-inch Magnum shell that costs like some stupid amount of money, and then it's not even a joy to shoot because it like nearly breaks your shoulder. That's dumb. I'm sorry.
What's the difference between high brass and low brass, Steve?
Nothing other than the brass and how much they charge you for it. Every single 12 gauge round is rated for 12,500 psi. It doesn't matter if it's high brass or low brass. It's all a gimmick.
Except for the 3.5 inch shell.
Yeah, once you get over 3.5, you have a different story. But under 3 inch doesn't matter. They're all the same pressure. And in shotguns, Magnum does not mean load. It means the hardness of the shot. So they get people there. And the charge difference between a target shell and a maximum velocity shell in 12 gauge shotgun is a whopping 4 grains of powder, which costs them about 0.00001 cent. And target load costs you $6, and a premium load costs you $20. And they are just making an absolute killer.
Mm-hmm.
And more power to it. It's America. It's called marketing. But for those of us that are smart enough to know how it works, we don't have to play that game.
Correct.
So that's my 2 cents on that. What else about powder, Chris? Ball, flake, there's different. Ball powders drop real good through your powder measures.
I think we talked about that on the volumetrics.
Yeah, flake powder drops real good. Just be careful with your stick powders because they do burn from the outside in, and if you go breaking them in half, it like forks it all up. You don't want to do that. So what else about powders, Chris? Oh, commercial and surplus. All the rest, like commercial, you get at the store, you're going to pay a lot more for it. But so that goes back to if you learn your powders, and if you're out at a yard sale and they got a bunch of powder sitting out there or an estate sale, buy it. Powder, so long, most of it just lasts forever. Unless, I don't know, even if it gets wet, if it dries out, it could probably be reused, but
it changes the structure of the molecules slightly when it gets wet and dries out.
So long as they keep it in its original can, it's been like stuck in a cabinet somewhere, it's probably still fine.
Oh yeah.
And if you get it for like $2, who cares? If you go home and it shoots good, yay, you just got it fine. And if it don't, well, you're out $2. And people waste that on coffee all the time. So
you can use it as fertilizer. Throw it in your yard and make the grass grow green.
Yeah, or whatever, So
it'll add nitrogen to your soil.
So your powders are a pretty big deal.
I guess we could talk about the bases. Did we talk about what the bases consist of?
I don't know if you want to get into that. I think for this podcast, maybe we want to just tell our audience, learn the different functions of the powders, learn where they are on the burn rate chart, and learn what fast burn and a medium burn and a slow burn. Learn what all that means, and that way you can tailor. You get into different rounds, produce a different amount of gas, but end up doing the same thing. So depending on if you're like wanting to cycle a semi-automatic that's gas operated, you might want a powder that produces more gas to do the same job. Whereas if you're shooting a cartridge that's like a blowback and you just need that real fast hit, it could do the same job. And then there's suppressant happy powders, and so it's just you could spend we've been doing this a long time, Chris. So
yeah.
I guess what I would just have to say, tell our audience is get a mentor, learn as much as you can, read as much as you can, and go to all the powder websites and read what they say about their powders. And most all your manuals will have a little section just on powder, and it'll talk about your flakes and your balls and your sticks and extruded and your single and double base and what all that means and why it matters and how fast they burn, and they almost all have a burn rate chart in them, and you can always go online and Google burn rate chart and one will pop right up. So, but yeah, so powders are a big deal. I would definitely dedicate a good amount of my time learning powders.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, so that's it on powders for now.
Yeah, I think that
So,
covers powders.
yeah.
Do we want to talk about cast bullets or anything real quick?
Let's do a separate one just on cast, man.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole nother world. But cast bullets, like, almost complete. If you keep your brass and you got tons of powder from surplus stores and keep it in a cool, dry place that'll last forever. If you learn to make your own bullets from scratch, the only thing that limits you making bullets is primers, and that's the hardest one to make on your own.
Guess we'll have to do a video on making primers.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty cool to make them, but yeah, it's a bear, and if you do it wrong, you know, it could go really bad. But if you can stockpile primers and powders, you won't have a problem. And then if you can learn how to make your own bullets, you just go to your local tire shops, and usually they'll have a bucket of lead laying around, and you say, I'll give you like $5 or $20 for that bucket of lead, and it probably weighs 70 or 80 or 100 pounds, and then you just got all that weight for pennies. So your bullets, what our bullets come out costing? Like less than 5 cents a piece
Half a
for our
cent.
bullets. Half a cent a piece. Half a cent a piece for our bullet. It was crazy.
That was back
Like,
when you could get
I
lead,
remember-
though, and we still got probably 600 pounds of lead.
Oh yeah, we got a
But
ton. We just stockpiled lead.
It's hard to find lead nowadays.
Yeah.
At the tire shops. You got to be careful with
Yeah,
your
but-
zinc and
Yeah, but you're like batteries. You know, batteries still have a lot of lead in them. You get the right ones, and granny got to take them apart and all that crap. But you know, if times get hard, you know where to find your lead. You can get lead.
a $12 core
But-
charge. I'd go buy people's batteries for the core charge, and then what is a battery? I mean, by the time you drain it, you know, a battery is probably 20 pounds of lead for $12,
Well,
50 cents a pound.
I
That's
know-
not bad.
I know those ones down there at the barn we got right now weigh 63 pounds a piece
With the electrolyte in them.
with the electrolyte. And I know there's not a gallon of fluid in those.
Oh no, not even.
So if you took eight from 63 minus the plastic, which might be 1.5 pounds, that's about how much lead you got. That's a lot of lead in those batteries. And they're clear. You can see it in there. It's a lot of freaking lead.
a lot of lead.
So, a lot of lead.
Yeah, we got
So,
to figure out what we're going to do with those too, because my ex-wife ruined them.
But you can then you can cast your own hardness, and you can decide what bullets, and you can practice for cheap, and it's just awesome. And it's general rule, it takes less powder to shoot lead anyway. So
They run about
'cause it's soft.
15% faster down your
they
board.
run faster and use less powder as a general rule. You can stick with a lot of your medium burn rate powders. Medium to fast will shoot most all your pistols, and then your rifles. You can even shoot rifles, which when I first started casting, I was reading people shooting their high caliber rifles with like unique. I was like, what? And sure enough, it's like it works great. It's just amazing. So yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, we'll do one on that too. We'll do one on just casting.
Oh, for sure.
How we got into it, and
That was a wild ride, man.
more reasons we hate alphabet agencies and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah, all that good stuff. We'll
Our
go
first
down that
business.
rabbit hole.
Yeah,
But
that was fun.
so yeah, so I think that's it. Let's just reiterate. Start at your starting charge. Work your way up. Look for pressure signs. You look for cracked necks, blown out primers, flattened primers, and if you see any of those signs, you stop.
In
And
semi-autos, you'll have ejector marks typically too.
Yeah,
And in
yeah,
some bolt
that's
actions.
true. Yeah. So, all right. Well, with that being said, my beautiful wife has gotten home. I haven't seen her all day.
Yeah, buddy.
I would like to go hang out with her a bit, and we'll have to hit up another podcast maybe by the end of this week. Well, probably, maybe the weekend.
You want to get together tomorrow or sometime this week and do some gardening?
Tomorrow's HSM. That's high school ministry for David.
Yep.
Thursday's David's band concert.
Okay.
Yeah, it sucks, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, I'm busy. as hell
This weather's killing us, man. And then
yeah, it rained all
and
day
then,
today, and it
yeah.
just now got
Dude,
sunny.
yeah, our freaking backyard is squishy. And then we've gotten 3 inches of rain in like 2.5 days up here on the hill. And then Friday we're gonna celebrate my birthday, and then so probably Saturday. Like, are you gonna be in town Saturday?
Oh,
Well, we're gonna have some chicken and probably some banana pudding. I think.
You want to get together on it?
I don't know if you're gonna be in town. If you want to come over, you can probably come hang out for a bit.
Yeah, Friday.
And
This Friday.
say boo. It's this Friday, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
sure what everybody's doing, but yeah. I mean, my birthday's tomorrow, but
Yeah.
Friday is when we're actually, because tomorrow we got our, we facilitate our group at church, so, yeah, so we're not gonna celebrate tomorrow. We're gonna wait till Friday, when we don't have anything on the schedule.
I hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, it just, when I saw the storms and all the rain, I was like, oh, make it back over there.
All day, man. All day.
Oh, I
Every
know.
time I looked out the window, man, it was just pouring.
Well, tomorrow and Wednesday ain't gonna be much better, Chris. I mean, we're actually in the moderate risk for severe weather Tuesday night and Wednesday, I think. So it could get ugly around here.
I think I might load up some more of those 10-round ladder loads for us, and then reload some of my heavier ones, and then maybe we could shoot them Friday or Saturday or something.
Yeah. Do you still need rock?
Yeah, I need all kinds of rock.
Okay. When you coming into down my road before you get to the off the main road, if there's a house to your right, they dug out from underneath their basement.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of rock. You ever remember seeing that big pile of rock out there front yard?
No.
It's been there for 6 months or longer.
Wonder if they let me have it.
I'd say if you went up to their house and said, hey, can I take some of this big rock with me to my house? They'd probably say sure, because it's been there forever.
Okay.
And you could use that all on your backside.
That'd be great in combination
The backside of
with your logs, too.
of your thing. I saw it on my way home today. I was like, holy crap, Chris could use that rock. That's perfect for him. And it's been there forever. I'm actually tired of looking at it, so maybe you can
Yeah, we'll clean
take
it
it off their hands for them.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I appreciate
All right.
you. I appreciate you being on the show and going over some
Yeah.
reload and stuff. Maybe we can actually get some reloading videos, some more reloading podcasts. We'll do some more gardening videos too and podcasts.
Have you got the other one up yet?
It
The
is
first
not.
one to this? Oh,
It is
okay.
not. I'm trying to figure out how to get it onto all these other platforms, including YouTube, where this one's going.
It's all cool.
And then I'll have to actually try to rip the audio off of this one and get it on Spotify. So
I'm
think-
sure you can.
Aaron's going to come over tomorrow and help me with some of it while you're at work.
Okay.
And
Yeah, he can
teach me
help
all
you out.
the computer crap.
Oh yeah, dude. I feel like I'm in all these computer screens in front of me. It's crazy.
Yeah, I got two, and I'm just like, oh. But it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's helpful for Excel. I spend a lot of time on Microsoft Excel for work.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Alrighty, man. Well, you have a good night.
You too, buddy.
I might see you Friday.
Yep.
All right. You have a good one.
You too.
Later.
Later. Then you just got to hit the disconnect button.
He's still messing. You'll figure it out, Chris.
You got to hit the disconnect button.
Oh, I don't know where the disconnect button's at.
It's down at the bottom. It's like the little red phone-looking thing.
Well, mine's green. Turn off camera. Wait a minute. Report message. How do I disconnect this? Is it right in the middle with two little rings? Two little rings in the middle?
No. Oh, Lord. It's,
Hey, come up here and disconnect this call.
hang on, buddy. I got you.
He's cussing at me under his breath because
I ain't cussing at you.
I don't know where the.
You both have to get it. It's the red button when you hover over this screen.
Oh.
There you go. Oh, Lordy. Oh, you're still on there. You're still on there.
Yeah, because I turned it back on. You hit the red button.
Yeah, I'm trying to end the podcast. Hang on. I gotta do an outro. Exit out of y'all stuff. Oh boy. Oh Jesus. Anyways, we are technologically impaired people learning how to do this. Let me tell you, this was fun. I've learned an OBS studio and all kinds of stuff. Good God. Okay, anyways. So that's all I got for reloading. If you like this podcast and like the things that we do and enjoy watching us try to find the end call button, please like and subscribe and hit that notification icon on whatever you're listening to this on. And we appreciate it sincerely, and thank you. God bless you all.